Stay with us. Here are highlights of today's big stories.
News at 10 Headlines is brought to you by Deluxe Superfix Tile Cement.
Political scientist and leading member of the ruling NPP, Dr. Makopa, is worried current chaos being recorded at some constituencies over the picking of nomination forms by polling station executive aspirants is not good for the party. The party stalwart noted expanding the electoral college is the only solution to the problem.
If it wasn't for Shama, we'll be in opposition. Right? But we haven't learned from the lesson. We haven't. We're still doing the same shenanigans. The form is not there, it hasn't come in. The chairman has gone to the farm, his goat is missing, so he's looking for it. All of those things. So you don't have reasons not to give it to people. The thing is free. Pretty much free, because it's paid for all of it. But why are you holding on to it? This is why people are upset. It's paid for it, give us our phone. You say only those who this, whatever reasons they are giving, and people are upset.
Concerns grow amongst many Ghana card applicants over fears they will still miss deadlines for SIM card re-registration and SNIT NHIA numbers measure despite the opening of additional centers.
It's on hold for now. It's my own business, so it's on hold for now because this is very important. So
they have asked my madam for permission and she asked me to come do it. So there you go. I think I'm going to sleep here today.
If I'm not able to make the deadline, the SIM card, I'll either chew it or throw it out.
At least we could get was a bottle of water for a premium service. I mean, if you go to like banks and places where you're paying so much for a premium service, that's what you get. I'm sure the queues there are crazy. That's why some of us, we thought, the paying a little extra would give us a smoother process and a shorter time. Because some of us, we are not going to work. We are not working today. It's not been worth it. I'm sorry.
Deputy Ranking Member on the Communications Committee of Parliament, St. George, has threatened to sue government if SIM cards are blocked come April 1. Calling the bluff of the Communications Minister, St. George described as illegal government's approach to get people to register their SIM cards by March 31.
It won't happen. There's no legal basis for it. Look, Ghana is not a banana republic. The minister doesn't just wake up and throw orders around. On the 1st of April, people who have still not registered will be able to use their phone cards, their SIM cards. I have a contractual agreement with you. I have airtime I've bought on my card. Then you say you will not. You will sue them from here to Mars.
All right, so those are highlights of the big stories making rounds in Ghana. Let's settle for the specific ones we are looking at for you tonight. We're starting with what's happening in the camp of the New Patriotic Party. Now, the national executives of the NPP, led by the chairman, Freddie Blay, has extended the sale of the polling station forms across the country by 1 extra day. This comes in the wake of agitations that characterized the sale of the forms in parts of the country. At a news conference in Accra, Freddie Blay directed all committees in the various polling stations to make sure that all interested aspirants have access to the forms to prevent chaos reported from across the constituencies.
The party wishes to emphasize that it has made available mandated committees for the conduct of the police station electoral areas elections in the 38,622 across the country. The national leadership of the party, this press conference, directing all police stations, electoral area, electoral committees to make available the application forms to all eligible party members who wish to partake in the polling station elections. It is also assuring all eligible members to ensure that application forms are made available to them. With immediate effect, the party is also dispatching officers to reported areas of disturbances for fact-finding and investigations, and where necessary, disciplinary sanctions will be applied. The National Party has decided to extend the sale of the polling station application by 1 day. That is tomorrow, Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. It is also by this press conference directing that all polling station and electoral area election committees to comply with the new extension.
All right, this is still News at 10 on TV3. We apologize for the break in that visual we brought to you, but it has to do with the leadership of the NPP a few hours ago said that they had extended the polling station deadline, the sale of the forms, by 1 extra day, which means that it is ending tomorrow. So from tomorrow, they are going to be starting with the vetting of those who may go through the process. But we would want to go to the phone lines now to have a little chit-chat on this. If we do have our guest on the line, I'll want to quickly go to him. Jonathan Archery is a political science lecturer with the University of Cape Coast. Good evening, sir, if you can hear me, and thank you for your time.
Good evening.
Right, thank you so much. To start with, I mean, there are those who are pretty much surprised that, you know, the sale of forms for polling station executives of a party should cause such disturbance or rancor across some parts of the country. At least 5 different places have recorded some of these unfortunate disturbances and scenes. What is your position? What do you make of these reports following just the sale of polling station forms?
Oh, thank you. Let me say good evening to our viewers. Right. When things of that nature happen, it is quite unfortunate anyway, and it is even much more disturbing when your party is in government, because it is very easy for things of that nature to gain negative popularity, and as it were, in the end, it will go a long way to affect, you know, the very fortune of the party in the elections to come, both internally and externally. Now, what I'm foreseeing is that when you see a political, you know, analytic experience will tell you that when you see things of that nature happening, what that means is that the grassroots are not comfortable with the current leadership of the party. And to be part of that and to ensure that the leadership of the party currently does not perpetuate themselves in power both internally and externally, that is when you see things of that nature happening. And so it is a very warning sign, you know, for the party.
Okay, now there's also the bit of, you know, where people are questioning, is there ever a link between polling station executives trying to get that position by picking the forms and maybe national executives? Because there are rumors that some interested parties who are probably gunning for flag bearer positions have bought forms for some of these polling station agents. Is there a link? Is there a correlation at all?
Well, the point is that if you think that there's no correlation or there's no entire correlation, I think you'll be deluding yourself. There is some kind of correlation, because as the NPP constitution is concerned, for example, you know, these branch executives are those who are going to elect the constituency executives, and then the constituency executives will elect the regional executive, and so on and so forth, the regional will the national. Then who then becomes the flag bearer of the party. So you could see that the thing is hierarchical. So you just cannot delude yourself into thinking that you will not be part of the truth organization. As I said, things of that nature begin to happen. Those who, because if, for example, I'm not bothered about the candidature, I think that the number of
unfortunately, we seem to be having a little technical challenge with the line. Hopefully, we'll get a better connection to Mr. Santi Ochre. He is a senior lecturer and a political science analyst with the University of Cape Coast. But this is still News at 10 on TV3. The connection, unfortunately, hasn't been good. We'll see if we can get a better connection to that. But this is News at 10. Stay with us. When we return from this quick break, we'll tell you what the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, has been saying regarding why you should pay the e-levy. Stay with us. Welcome back to News at 10 on TV3. Let's start from the education front now. The University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, has suspended its 7-week-old strike over conditions of service after a National Executive Committee meeting. The suspension, according to UTAG, is to allow negotiations to commence and be concluded in 2 weeks. On your screen is what Ransford Jampo, who is the Legon Chapter General Secretary of UTAG, posted a few minutes ago, and I'm going to read through it quickly. It says, "Dear all, be informed that at a National Executive Committee meeting held this evening, Monday, the 21st of February 2022, we decided to suspend our industrial action and to allow negotiations to commence and be concluded in 2 weeks. This is in view of the court order, appeals from the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education and other eminent Ghanaians. Per Section 4B of the UTAG's Constitution, our members have 5 days to vote to accept or reject this decision. We hope our serious overtures are made to convince members. We do not like the strike and hope there is sincerity and more commitment in addressing our concerns. Beyond any temporal intervention, we ask for a more lasting solution and not quick fixes." So from that statement from Ransford Jampo, who is one of the key persons who've been talking on this issue of UTAG strike, he says that the members have 5 days. So that is why it is a suspension for now. They've suspended the strike for now, but hopefully in the coming days, we'll get to know whether they are returning to the classrooms for teaching to commence, especially as of tomorrow. But members of UTAG have 5 days to vote to accept the suspension or reject the suspension for the strike to continue. In the meantime, negotiations with government will commence, and they have 2 weeks to make sure that also comes to some form of finality, of which we here at TV3 will keep you posted subsequently when they become available. You are on TV3 News at 10. Let's go to that very important story having to do with what Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has been saying. Now, he has painted a dire picture about Ghana's economic situation, admitting that there is no money. Speaking at the 4th Town Hall meeting in Wa as part of efforts to get the buy-in of Ghanaians on the e-levy, the Finance Minister indicated that about 60% of the country's revenue goes into payment of salaries for government workers. He reiterated the point that Ghanaians need to share the burden of paying the right taxes for expected economic growth.
I look at teachers, for example, and civil servants, and I'll be the first to admit that the salaries are indecent. Nobody will argue with that. At the same time, it is 60% of all the revenue we collect for 700,000 people. That's also a fact. So yes, there's a legitimate demand for more, and there's a legitimate reality that there's no money. So what do we do as a society? Then you ask me to give you more salary, which is fine, and then I say, oh, but it's your colleague civil servants who collect the money. So how can you be responsible for collecting the money, not collect it, and then tell me to give you the money? That would be another issue. At the same time, yeah, living conditions must be managed. And lo and behold, the world is also getting into a position where things are even going to be more difficult. So what do we do as a nation? Just think of it as your home, and therefore, where do you sit down to have a real honest conversation so that we can move on?
And the real honest conversation is that you need to support government by paying the e-levy, although there are some concerns about why government has not been able to account for other monies they had taken since it assumed office some 5 years ago. Still a very interesting debate ongoing about the e-levy. We'll keep you posted as and when we get issues. That's the fourth in the series of government's town hall meetings regarding the e-levy. In other news tonight, the NCCE chairperson, Josephine Nkrumah, has formally informed President Akufo-Addo of her resignation. She was appointed Deputy NCCE chairperson in 2015 and promoted in 2016 as the chairperson by John Dramani Mahama's administration. She, Josephine Nkrumah, called on President Akufo-Addo at the Jubilee House to thank him for his support in the 5 years she has been the chairperson of the commission.
Certain processes have gone on, and as we speak, I just offered my letter of acceptance to ECOWAS to be the ECOWAS ambassador to Liberia with a duty post in Monrovia. As the father of the land, as the appointing authority, I deem it necessary to come and see you and officially tender in my resignation, which will take effect on the 30th of April. So in a nutshell, that is why I'm here. In your distinguished chairmanship as the ECOWAS lead, it's important that I can always count on you for your wise counsel in these times. ECOWAS is pretty much a new space for me, and I would need the expertise that you have carried over the years in foreign service, and I'm happy to hear that as my president I can count on you in that regard. I'm very excited to hear that. As the president, and also to thank you, because I believe very strongly that your distinguished chairmanship is really what has propelled Ghana within the space of ECOWAS, and it is that.
All right, so we wish her all the best. Now, President Akufo-Addo congratulated her, that is Josephine Nkrumah, and commended her for the work. The president urged her not to hesitate to contact the presidency if need be, as a new appointment comes at a time when he holds the position as the chair of ECOWAS.
This is a job you're going to go and do and bring credit to yourself and to us, your country, Ghana. So I have to wish you the very best of luck. You're taking it up at a time when I am also the chair of ECOWAS. So both of us are carrying the country on our shoulders at this time, very much so. But I want to wish you the very best of luck. You know about Liberia as a country that has had its own very turbulent history. But in the last 10, 15 years, they've been trying to settle down, and like we've been trying to do. So you're going at the very critical moment. The second president since the Troubles, the second elected president, was first of all Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and now George Oponglia. So I have to wish you the very best of luck. He's a Ghanaian. So you'll find it very easy to find a connection with him and working with him and everything. Yeah. So I wish you the very best of luck. Yeah, we're there. If there's any problems that occur in the course of your tenure as the ECOWAS ambassador.
And just before we go, the National Identification Authority, that's the NIA, has so far captured 16 million Ghanaians in their database, and 14 million cards have so far been issued. According to the head of corporate affairs, Abdul Ganiu, more than 90% of persons aged 15 and above are expected to be captured following the opening of 5 new centers in addition to the already 276 district and 16 regional offices across the country. So if you want details of that story, go to 3news.com and you will duly be updated. Let's find out what's happening on the international front before we bounce out. And starting from neighboring Ivory Coast, the annual United States-led counterterrorism training program for African forces has kicked off in Ivory Coast as West Africa faces the growing threat of armed groups' attacks amid French forces' withdrawal. Also known as Flintlock, the program, which comprises more than 400 service members from 10 African partners and allied nations, began on Sunday. It is the U.S. Africa Command's largest annual operation exercise. And that's how we bring the bulletin to a close. Thank you very much for watching. There is more news on our website, 3news.com. You can get updated on the stories we brought to you this evening and many, many more. I am Martin Asiedu Date. Do have a good evening, and as always, stay positive. Bye for now.